There's something that can happen when a piece of content is made just right. Sometimes the perfect combination of design, difficulty, and reward can elevate an experience into something beyond itself. In the fall of 2005, the Jagex design team did just that, giving us one of the most iconic boss fights of all time, the Fight Caves. On any given moment, you can browse YouTube or Reddit and find endless posts about people finally beating the Fight Caves and claiming its coveted prize, the Fire Cape. This powerhouse melee cape gives significant defense, melee strength, and prayer bonuses. Players often mark this fight as the first significant PvM challenge in Old School. It signifies one's departure from early to mid-game. To face the final boss, one must first battle through 62 waves in the Fight Caves, juggling positioning, prayer switches, and supply management. Once you get through that, then the real challenge begins. But first, I'd like to explain exactly why this fight is so challenging. To fully understand the nature of Jad's difficulty, first, let's talk a little bit about defense. If you're not already familiar, here's how defense works in Old School. There are 3 factors that go into blocking damage: defense level, equipment, and prayers. The first 2 play a large role in the chance of getting hit, but only the third can act as a true failsafe. So let's look at an example of what I mean. Let's say we're fighting a greater demon that uses slash melee attacks, and we take an account with a defense level of 1. There is about a 95% chance to be hit. But if we ramp that defense level up to my current level, that goes all the way down to 48%. Adding on some solid tank gear along with that high defense level brings us all the way down to 8%. But as I said before, with both stats and equipment, that number is never really 0. Only praying Protect from melee can ensure that in this fight. So here's why that's so important. When facing Jad, he can hit up to 97, effectively instantly deleting you if he hits you. The only way to get past him is to read his animations and use the correct prayer. Here are some examples for how useful that skill is from Doom, switching prayers based on his rock throw attack, the Corrupted Gauntlet, using the proper switches to avoid damage, and Zebok from TOA in his final Enrage phase. Before we get to the fight, there's one more challenge to add. Because my account has already cleared the Fight Cave many times, and my combat stats are pretty much maxed, this time I'll only be able to use gear that was available during Jad's release in 2005. So that leaves us with a full set of carols and an Amulet of Fury. We can use the bolt racks for the crossbow, and we can bring along ancient magics with Blood Barrage to heal up during the waves. Unfortunately for this challenge, we won't have access to any of these commonly used weapons that were all released after Jad. Here we are at last, and let's take a look at our first enemy. The first fiery foe of the Fight Caves is the Bat. Though they don't deal much damage, they can drain prayer, making them a high-level threat in this supplies marathon. Our basic strategy here is to kite away from these enemies, essentially walking away from them, attacking, and making sure that they can't hit us even once. These first few waves are pretty simple. We'll clear out a couple of these guys and then move on to something a little more complicated. Next up is the Blob. Essentially these guys are kind of just cannon fodder and don't pose much threat, especially because their passive only works with melee and we'll be using ranged. During these next couple waves, we'll prioritize killing the bats first so we don't lose any prayer, and then we'll take care of the blobs. Now here comes our first real threat, and from a distance. There's nothing too special about these guys, but their ranged attacks can hit pretty hard, so we want to make sure we're always praying protect from range. These rangers don't have a ton of HP, so they're pretty easy to rip through, but the trick comes when you have other things attacking you at the same time. Here's a perfect spot to talk about this rock. We're going to use this formation for the rest of the fight, blocking off one enemy with one attack type on one side, and fighting another one on the other side with a different attack type. Essentially, this will minimize the damage we take from multiple enemies attacking with multiple attack styles. Here we isolate the melee first, and then we'll go over and take care of the ranger. That way we don't have melee and ranged attacks coming at us all at once. We'll take care of a couple more waves here, and then we'll fast forward a little bit. Next up is the lovingly nicknamed rats. These giant melee users will smack you around and can heal themselves and others when below 50% HP. For the rest of this run, we'll be constantly running away from these guys, repositioning, and using other units to block them so they can't hit us with their attack or heal the other people around them. Here's a great example of how we pick our priorities, taking care of the ranger first, and then moving on to everything melee next. Our last new enemy before Jad is the dog. Though these majors might look kinda cute, they'll bite or blast you with no remorse. Overall, fighting them is pretty simple. We just want to make sure we're praying mage, and we never want to come within one tile of them or they will bite us hard. Here's another one of those tricky situations where no matter what, we're going to get hit by something. In this case, we chose to tank a couple shots from the ranger and then the melee to make sure we don't take big damage from the major. Now that that's cleared out, we'll switch over to magic and heal up using blood barrage any damage we took from tanking those hits. Fast forward a little bit and we have a great example of kiting. The rat ended up on the wrong side of the major, so we've got to run all the way around the major to make sure we don't get hit. And then we end up on the opposite side, and we use the major to body block the melee. I absolutely love waves like this. It kind of sets itself up automatically. We just kill the ranger, and then after we do this, everything else is kind of just going to fall in line for us. So we'll clear this guy out real quick. And now everyone else just falls into line. Take care of the major, the blob, then the rat. Piece of cake. Finally, we've made it to wave 62. Now there are two majors here, and you can see that they're each slightly different color. The one that's more orange than red actually signifies where Jad will spawn in the next wave. That way you're not surprised, and you can kind of set yourself up in a good position. Now we come to it at last. The final challenge. Jad will use two different attack styles, ranged and mage, each marked by a different animation. To use magic, he'll raise his front legs up, and to use range, he'll slam them back down. To add to the fun, Jad will spawn healers at 50% health. Fail to clear them, and they'll spawn again when his health gets low. Now, let's begin. Of course, my number one objective here is to just not miss any prayer flicks. I want to make sure I'm timing it perfectly so I don't take that dreaded 97 damage. can already tell this fight's going to be pretty slow because of my gear, but we're going to be patient and stay focused. Okay, so here come the healers. I think there's one stuck underneath him. I hope he can't heal him underneath there. That would kind of suck, but we're just going to tag each of these as they come out and then kill them all while not messing up our prayer. Good lord, the fact that these guys can heal each other too is actually slowing this down a lot. Huh! That is so insane. I've never seen that before. He's got one guy just hanging out in there, just keeping him company. Oh, come on, we are so close. Let's go! Yes! And a combat achievement? I don't even know what that is, but that's sick! Let's go! My heart has not beat that fast in so long. I know my stats are super good and we're way over leveled, but just doing it in this gear and getting a fire cape like that is just an awesome achievement for me. As a reward, obviously we have the cape, and then I'll spend the rest of the tackle on runes and bolt tips for some extra money. So our total value for the loot here, after buying some onyx bolt tips and fire runes, is 42,170. Which brings our new series total to 122,453 GP. Let me tell you, this video was something else to make, but I think it turned out awesome. If you liked it, please consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you next time on